See what it sounds like.
Is that normal?
This dishwasher is not draining water, so we're going to take a look at that and see what's up. It's a Whirlpool. That's all I know about it. And it's gross. I can tell you right now, that filter's not in right. So it might be plugged full of debris. So now I gotta take this finger and stick it down that hole into grossness. I don't feel nothing. I don't know if there's like some sort of sensor to know if that's plugged in or not. You can see any of that. I was trying to put this filter in this hole that you can't see, and for some reason it won't latch, and I can't see because of all the slimy water, so I'm bailing out this cup. So all the walking happens down at the bottom. Like that. It almost sounds like when it's not getting water. Not one bit of water's moved through that.
You let it run long enough?
Well, I hit cancel and drain. Look.
Right.
So either the pump is not working at all, or the drain is plugged somehow. But I should be seeing water moving through these tubes. Huh? Well, because I'm making it drain. I say cancel. And that pump doesn't sound right to me. So, let's take a look-see in there. Now look, I got all kinds of water again.
Do you have to bail it out?
I don't know. Probably going to have to take the pump off and see if there's something fetched in it. I want to try and take as much water out of that hole as I can, because when if I have to take that pump out, all that water is going to end up on the floor. So I'm just going to make my baler a little bit smaller. Alright, I turned the breaker off to this. I'm going to undo the wire nuts, pull this thing out and flip it on its back. Then I got to figure out how to get into the pump. Look how slimy this is.
Oh. I think that's what looks like bean sauce.
No, it's not what's causing this problem, but if that looks like that, then the pump without that filter in probably looks similar. towels. I think the goal is to get this off completely so we can see what's coming through here, because I think the filter's on this side, and then obviously that pumps out. I'm tempted to take this off and see if there's a bunch of gunk just sticking through. I might be able to pull it through, but then again, this looks like it might just twist. Yeah, that moved. So how does that unlock? That is the question. Like that. Oh, water. Lots of water. It's still latched on this side somehow. Alright, it has one tab broke off. Look right there, it's missing a tab. I think you're going to find that's been beaten up against something. There's a piece of glass in there. Alright, this is what I think happened. So like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something, somebody broke a glass in the dishwasher. I'm not naming names, but it's probably Derpy. But anyways, when that happened, we didn't find it right away, actually, which is kind of weird. Somebody reached into the cabinet up there and saw a broken glass, and it's like significantly broken. I can't believe somebody pulled it out of the dishwasher and didn't notice it was broken or didn't cut their hand. I mean, it was chowded. But anyways, I just looked in that pump hole and there's a piece of glass, which I accidentally knocked down the tube. So now we got to figure out how to get to that. But I suspect that that piece of glass was fetched up in the pump. What do you want to call it? Impala? You know, like on a boat motor, how it pumps water through to cool itself, and there's that thing in the bottom that spins and it looks like a star.
Propeller?
No. That thing. I think it's an impala. That's what you call it. Well, this thing. It's got one piece broke off, and I saw a piece of glass, and it's a big piece of glass. It's down in this hole now. I'm going to try and turn it around. Anyways, I'm going to fish that piece of glass out, and then I think this thing will work fine, even though it's missing a tab. And that leads me to a good point. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and people fix things, and they call something a certain thing and whatever, and people are like, oh, that's actually called the, you know. And
in the comments?
Yeah, in the comments. And who cares? Like, you don't have to know what it's called to be able to fix it. If you can just recognize it and that it's a problem. And all these things have part numbers stamped on the side of them. So you could call that thing Frank for all I care, as long as you put the right part number in.
You can call it Frank to be Frank.
Yeah, that was good. Derpy said, you can call it Frank to be Frank. And so don't get all caught up in that. Knowing how it works is way better than knowing actually what it's called. And I guarantee you most of those guys were reading the comments up above, although nobody really comments on my stuff, but I'm saying on YouTube videos in general, they read the comments up above. Somebody who's smarter than them said, oh, that's called this. And then they went, oh, yeah, well, that was obvious. That was called this. So don't even worry about it. Just fix it. Oh, boy.
Is it like Operation, but instead of getting buzzed, you ruin the floors?
Oh, I brought in a good call. He said Operation. I actually brought in needles. I bet I can grab that thing. Oh, I had it. There it went. I think that's the culprit. I think it was fetching up that spinner gadget. Let's say it was like that, and it went all the way to there, and it clicked. And that looks like that's on there. Pretty tight. So I stood it back up and got the quilt back on it. It's leaking a little water out the front, so I'm letting that drip for a bit. And then I'm gonna push it back far enough that I can hook those wires up that I disconnected. Seriously, right in the middle of my monologue? We're gonna run it before I push it all the way back in and get it all secure, just to make sure that it pumps. And then I'm gonna teach the trophy how to put the filter back in so this doesn't happen again. You didn't put that filter back in right, so the glass got past it. It's you.
Meanwhile, I'm outside washing his truck for him to be nice, and he's being like that to me.
Why would you wash my truck? Deer season's coming. It's gonna be a mess the whole time.
Fine, I'm not washing the rest of the time.
Yeah, half washed. That's awesome.
No, thank you.
So, no, thank you here.
You're not done yet. You haven't fixed it yet.
Okay, just a little pro tip for you. So, well, not pro really, but so when you're wiring something, you always want to hook your neutral wire up first. Now, I shut the power off to this, so it didn't really matter. But God forbid somebody go behind you, like let's say the trophy's like, hey, my electric butt hair remover isn't working, and she goes downstairs and flips the breaker on while I'm working on this because she thinks it just popped for some reason. Well, when you are wiring, you always want to hook your neutral wire up first, usually your white wire. And that's because when the power comes into this black wire, it's just power. It's like 120 volts, really not pushing any amps at all. But once this unit is using that power, all that workload is on this other side. So if you were to hook the power up first, then somehow got your body between both of these leads on this white wire, you'd be taking all that amperage, which might not be much in this case if it's just sitting here not running. But if it was like a motor or something like that that drew a lot of amperage, that could really hurt. And it doesn't take much amperage to really harm you. So always hook your neutral up first. There's examples though where the white wire won't be a neutral, such as a switch loop, but that's a whole conversation for another day. So I would just caution you in a switch for like a light that sometimes your white wire won't be a neutral. It could actually be a power wire that's redesignated, and it's called to carry power, and that's called a switch loop, which should be marked. But if you ever follow behind a guy like me who's not a professional, it might not be marked. So just be careful. All right, so I flipped the breaker on and I'm just gonna run it, make sure it works before I install it all back in. Hopefully I remembered to put all the fittings on under there. Oops. Dang it. Alright, let's cancel that. That was dumb. And I'm just going to let it fill with water. And then I'm going to hit cancel and see if it drains. I think it already sounds a little better. You can see it draining. Okay, so that cost $0, just a little bit of time, and I suspect that even if you don't find something in your pump, at least knowing how, if your pump's spinning but not making any noise, or that impella, actually I haven't looked that up yet, if that pump isn't broken or whatever, that this still will show you how to get to that and replace it, and a little bit of other disassembly when it comes to dishwashers. So I'm happy, Trophy's happy. We're good to go. So if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications.